wife Susan, I have 4 kids, 7 grandchildren. All right, that'll do. Anyway, Richard Kramer called me the other day. I was planting out in the field, and he said needed a speaker, come to Lucan, and I was a little skeptical, and then Richard said, don't worry, there's 2 other speakers ahead of you. I wanted to cover my bases and make sure in case something happened that you'd be able to speak. I'm sure I've done third string football player. Your uniform looks good. You only have to iron the backside where you sit down. Everything else is great. So, yeah, I'm there. Well, then he called me a little bit ago and he said, you're going to have to speak. And I go, well, what happened? He goes, the other 2 speakers, they canceled. They had other obligations. So, being that President Obama and President Bush can't make it, I'm going Anyway, I wasn't sure exactly what I was getting into, so I looked it up on Wikipedia. I Googled it to make sure that I had this right. And Memorial Day, according to them, is a federal holiday observed annually in the United States on the last Monday of May, formerly known as Decoration Day. It originated after the American Civil War to commemorate the fallen Union soldiers of the Civil War. Southern ladies' organizations and Southern school children decorated the Confederate graves in Richmond and other cities during the Civil War, but each region had its own date. Most dates were in May, but by the 20th century, Memorial Day had been extended to honor all Americans who have died in all wars. Okay, one thing that all Legion members here today, Armed Force people here today, and I have in common with the people we're celebrating and honoring today, is we all signed a blank check. That the check said basically up to, for the amount, up to, including life, if needed. So that's one thing that everyone we're honoring today had signed that check. They said that to the American government that whatever it takes, we believe in freedom. I was going to make this a formal speech. I'm not really very good at that. I was at our father from Wanda there. He did an amazing job, and I can't compete with that. And besides that, brownie points, and I won't have to admit to after this. But anyway, what inspired me to go a different direction? My daughter Leah always talks to my mom, her grandma, and tells a story. That's all it is. She tells stories about how it was like, how rough it was like, and what they went through, and all the adventures that they had. And she knows a lot about it. Tell the story, and I know the story is going to be told over and over because she's got more notes on what I did than I knew what I did, so it's good. So, and another thing that was good about that is my mom is older, so she always repeats herself, and Leah's younger and her attention span ain't good, so she needs things repeated, so they work out real well. So everyone we celebrate tonight has a story. I don't know their story. I see a lot of crosses out there, and everyone represents a story. So I'm just going to tell my story. So it all started back in Kimbry, Minnesota. One of my friends, Thomas Barons, we were talking about the old times in the Army, what we used to do, and we were eating dinner. And he lays it on me. He says, you know what? It was after 9/11, 2 years after 9/11. He says, you know what? He says, you should get back in. I go, out of your mind. He said, I've been on this for 10 years. I don't even really understand the program anymore. And he says, yeah, but it's the right thing to do. I was prepared for anything he would have said, as far as I'm too busy, I got this going on. But when he said it was the right thing to do, everyone's got that little voice inside you. And, you know, it says, like, you should do this. And the voice says, he's got a point there. You know? So I tried to fight with it and I couldn't. So I said, well, all right, I'll give it a whirl. I don't think I'm going to make the physical. And that's a story in itself. And I went through the physical unscathed. And I actually passed it. I do get a little jumpy every now and then when someone puts a rubber glove on and snaps the wristband. But I made it through all that. And next step was the leaving for what you don't know for sure if you're coming back for. We were going into Iraq. We were going to go south of Baghdad by 50 miles. No idea where you're going. They got the kids, the wife, everybody you want to see. You want to say goodbye to everybody. And all of a sudden, you've got about a week left. And that clock, you can actually watch it go around. It just speeds up, and you don't get half the stuff you want to get done, and you're just gone into a different world. Where we went was described as a safe place, supposedly Scania. And our colonel that we had didn't make the same deal that the unit before made with the enemy. before they made the deal like, we'll turn our back on here and you don't fire at us and we leave in so long that you can deal with the next unit. Our colonel went over for a mission, and I'm proud that he did it. He did the right thing. And he said, no, we're going to take your insurgents. You break the law, you're going to get prosecuted, you're going to get arrested, and we're going to patrol and we're going to make this area safe. So there it started. We got mortars, we got fire, we got everything. It turned in from a safe place to we didn't know what was going to happen. The most indiscriminate thing you can do to somebody is launch a roundup in the air, and you don't have any idea where it's coming down. There's just no rhyme or reason. You don't know if it's your calling or not. What life was like over there is we lived in tents, basically. What we did is we lived in tents. It was like a 15-man tent, canvas tent. And we had 8 people plus our gear. And you got just a little square, basically, with your area, and that's it. And you think women are hard to get along with. Try living with 8 men. Wow. The showers were basically a trailer. A semi-trailer that they converted into showers, and they did some of that. There was actually a latrine in there, kind of. Where we walked all the time was on rocks. It was like fob rocks, they call them. Fob is a forward base, and they put rocks everywhere because it would stop snakes and supposedly and all the bad critters that they got in rock. It would deter them, so it made it safer wherever rocks where they want to go. Bad part of it is it's really hard on the ankles because every step you don't know which way your ankle's going to roll. And the food was good, right? We had 4 squares a day because of our mission. We had 6 in the morning, noon, 6 in the night, and then at midnight. There was a chapel on base. We had every denomination. You think we had a chaplain. He took care of that part. We had PX where you could basically get toothpaste, this, that, and the other thing if you needed the little essentials that you had to have. There were barricades all around where we lived, tall cement barricades. And we had those manned 24 hours a day. During the night, we had night visions out. Some bases got shot at. We were lucky in that, right? We didn't have to worry about that. We had laundry facilities. Basically, pass your laundry in, and if people did it and got back, so we could do what we were supposed to do. There was a gym to work out with. Carrying all the weights that we had, you had to stay in shape, or you weren't going to carry the 100 pounds around you had to carry. My job description was actually quite long. I was a platoon sergeant. Then basically, when they found out I was a farmer and I was about 48 years old, I did everything from welding, engineering, to carpentry, to you name it. I could do everything that was given to me. I got a real long list of stuff everybody wanted in my services, along with other people. We had contractors over there. As a guard unit, we had a lot of older people who own their own businesses. So we were very, very self-sufficient. I also got to be the organist over there for our chapel. Not that I was any good, it's just that nobody else wanted to do it. So, on our fob, we had one main mission. The main mission was we were just south of Baghdad. So in all the vehicles, they'd come up, they needed one staging place basically to get fueled up, get rested, and so they could go right through Baghdad. Baghdad wasn't a good place to be in. Then they go to their different supply runs. And we were responsible for manning, we were basically responsible for keeping all the bad guys out so they could be safe inside our area. We also did patrols to make sure there wasn't no roadside bombs in our area, get the bad guys, the insurgents out, basically to protect them from the whole Iraqi population. They were just innocent victims. We had a lot of bad guys out there raising hell. Heck was it weird. That's the worst I get. I'm going to be really good here. All right. So, there I also had radio points along there was like jump stations. Every 20 miles, there was a radio point, so it jumped our signal, so we had like an internal signal. The cool thing about it, I was the organist, and during Christmas, well, guess what? You read the Bible a lot about there's camels out there and donkeys and all this stuff, and people running around in robes and all that stuff. We had a special patrol, our chaplain, or our command sergeant major, myself, and a few choir members went out and we performed Christmas services to these posts that really never had any visitation or whatever. We went out and did Christmas. That was pretty cool. Anyway, points of interest that I had. My daughter got married while I was over there, and that is a complete story. I wrote it in the paper. Some people probably actually read that. But the thing that's interesting is we had a battalion commander. I locked horns on him. He said, "You're not going home." But by rights, we were all given 2 weeks, so I should have been able to go home, but he wanted to make an example out of me. The point I want to make on that is you run the Army. Through your votes, through the senators that you have, you are the voice for the people that are in the Army. Those senators, when they say that's wrong, this is going to happen, they can really make some stuff happen. So our Army is still ran by the people, not by a dictator or something else. That's the point I want to make on that. Culture, the people, the schools. We built a lot of schools out there. That's one of our missions, was to build schools. 50% or better of the people that were in those schools were girls. But guess what? They did a lot better than the boys in the school, because the boys were about everything else, and they actually got to go to school, and it was a reward for them, so they really studied hard. When I was thinking about our country, we put, well, not too long ago, we allowed them to vote, allowed women to vote, we allowed them to all this other stuff. Guess what? Try and take them rights away from them now, ain't gonna happen. So I was thinking, like, what a disease we created for those people to deal with. I thought it was a good deal. Bad part about it right now, there's things that stirred me up while I was working with the locals more on contractors and stuff like that. And to get their daughters married, for someone to take their daughter, depending on the father's wealth, he had to give so much of a dowry just to have them come, take the daughter off his hands. That was really bad. The people were allowed to actually have up to 4 wives if they could support them. They had to be able to treat them all the same. And one thing that really was bad for me, I heard when I was working with the locals, was when they have adultery, the woman automatically gets stoned, just flat out, she's done. But the guys on a different stand, they have forgiveness periods. They're allowed 1 or 2 mistakes or something like that. But the women, flat out, they're done. They get stoned. Wow, that'll never fly. The cleanliness habits of the people over there. 140-degree plus weather is nothing. I mean, we get 140, but it's dry. It's not like here. You get 90 with about 80, 90 humidity. That's about all you can take here. But 140 with a dry climate is really hot. You can't touch any metal or rocks and none of that stuff. You burn your hands. It's that you can fry your meals on, no problem. But you'll get burns if we had to have gloves on all the time. So with that, the cleanliness part, they bring us each a bottle of water. I'm starved. I drink my bottle of water. And we give it to some of the local Iraqi people. First thing, back up. Somebody else grabs the water bottle. They start pouring. They wash their hands. They got to get their hands washed. Then he pours it over his head. They wash their whole head. Then he pours them down their uniform, and there's about that much left in the bottle of drinking water. He drinks it, and he goes, I want more water. I don't think so. That was my life support. You just washed yourself with it. That was tough for me to be like, wait, that's not right. Anyway, with the right hand, left hand, I learned in a hurry. I got put on a few patrols where we went out and talked to the sheikhs in the area. And a sheikh is like a mayor in small towns. And if you didn't get if you couldn't win over the sheikhs, his group of people wouldn't really be very easy to handle. So you had to go to the leaders. I got stuck on one of these patrols. I got to sit next to the sheikh. And I was warned ahead of time, right hand for eating, and there's no toilet paper in Iraq. For them, the left hand's the naughty hand. He said, you put that in your pocket, don't bring it out. And I was like, all right, I can do that. By me, I got my hand in my pocket, and the sheikh's there, and he doesn't speak any English. I don't speak any of the language they got. And so they got the rice balls. He reached in, grabbing rice, put it on the plate, and he nodded. He didn't have all his teeth, but he was really good looking. And he puts in there, and they had something that was either small lamb or dog, I ain't sure what it was. But it was on the tray, and I kind of looked at it, and I don't think so. So then I was eating some of the other stuff, and the sheikh looks at me, and I thought he said, is the rice patties good? And I said, yeah, you bet they're great, that kind of shake back. And he stands up, takes his right hand, he grabs into the meat, pulls off a bunch, and throws it on my plate, and he goes, here you go, thank you. Not to make an issue, or an incident, I did eat it. So that's a good deal. They said, make sure you eat everything that's on your plate, and I did. I learned that from my mom. That's kind of what life was like. In one episode, I'm probably not going to... We're going to have a memorial service here in a little bit, what I'm trying to say. We attended memorial services over in Iraq when our fellow soldier died. And anyway, the guy next door... He was going to go, or some of the guys in our room, I don't know if it would have been me or not, but he went on one of the patrols, and they went over a bomb on the road. He actually saved the life of everybody because he was in the back seat. Had he not been in there and take the bull of that round, they would have killed the 2 people in the front, so he basically took the blunt of that. But the memorial service we had, it's different in Iraq because it's in a war zone. So you got a security all the way around because you're never supposed to